Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mash and Drum Whiskey Room, Whiskey Wednesday night. What the hell is up, everybody? We got a cool-ass show coming up tonight. Just want to welcome everybody in, everyone that's coming over from Bourbinsane, the first live stream of the night in kind of a marathon of live streams we'll be having tonight. I'm kind of the meat in the middle, and I think Chris was a nice bun, and then we're gonna have Whiskey Crusaders is going to be the other bun with a big pickle on top. So that's going to be kind of the way it goes tonight. I want to mention early on before I want to thank Chris for having that pregame stream. That was a ton of fun. And then following this, we're going to be celebrating the 1-year anniversary of Whiskey Crusaders with Sarah, Will, Matt, of course. I'll be on there too with I Whiskey She Wine, Scotch Test Dummies. Chris will be on there too. So it's going to be a fun night. So I want to just welcome in a bunch of you already real quick. DJ Beacon, Jim Muller, Jason Coates, Greg Failer, Captain Make It Happen, Anthony Orlando, Trev Wilson, The Wrench. What's up, man? Spencer Mavis here. The Bourbon Buddies. We'll be bringing them on in a little bit. Wheels, the Linux Cat. What's up, buddy? Doug Tempest is here. Charles Ashworth, Robot Scott. Everyone's typing hashtag toe type raid. I'm guessing that's from Chris. Scary Peepers here. What's up? Anthony's Grow. Michael Carr, Dramhound. What is up? Richie Z. Ron's Wood Turning Shops in the house. Wildlife and Whiskey. Alan the Whiskey Friend. What is up, my friend? Sunday Evening Scotch. Tony Cronin. Steve A, of course, the man, the myth, the legend. We have Whiskey Music here. Karen B. Ford. Still catching up. Joseph Brazo. What the hell are you all doing here? Tammy Brennicky. How are you? We got Scott from My Bourbon Journey. We're bringing him on a little bit too. And going down the list. If I missed you, I will try to catch you later in the chat. So this is what we're going to be doing tonight, guys. Pal Joey is here. UK sports fan. What is up? Patrick Fulmer. ADHD Whiskey, Dusty Dan. Yo. So what we're going to be doing tonight, guys, is I've partnered with 3 different channels, all live in different states. And what we're going to be doing is talking about our local craft whiskeys that are kind of near and dear to our heart from, where we reside. So we all live in different states. So I think there's some unique craft distilleries that are out there, but I felt like it'd be kind of cool to highlight a couple of craft distilleries that are close by. So I hope all of you guys have a pour of something that's close to you, something you like, whether it be a American single malt, whether it be a rye, whether it be a bourbon, a whiskey, something finished, something blended, whatever it may be. Just pour something and let's get ready for tonight. Before I bring in the guests, I do want to mention April 25th. April 25th will be the date of my meetup in Louisville, Kentucky at Sidebar. Time is still yet to be determined, but if any of you guys can make it down for April 25th to my meetup down in Louisville, Kentucky, please make your way. Would love to have you. Have some fun things planned, some drink specials, some food. Will be some swag there, both from I think Sidebar and also from the Mash and Drum. Probably bring maybe a special lot of coins there just from the meetup. Possibly some T-shirts if I can get them done in time. And it should be a ton of fun. Also, I wanted to thank you all for the great comments I've been getting on the What's on the Shelf Wednesday series. It's been going really well. Also, if you haven't yet, subscribe. I know most of you guys probably are. But if you haven't yet or know anybody that hasn't subscribed, get a subscribe. I'm this close to my 8,000 subs mark. So it'd be really cool to get 2,000 away from that magical number of 10. So with that, also one more thing. My coins are here. My special coins, my batch 2 from Drum Kit 1. They are upstairs. I got home late and I was setting up this. I didn't even open the box yet, but they're going to be available for my patrons first to buy, and then whatever is left, I will bring out to the masses for all you guys, whoever wants to order. So stay tuned on that. Also, coming up Friday will be my Larceny Barrel Proof review. Thank you to Dramhound for helping me grab that one. And with that, let's welcome in the guests. First, let me unmute them, as they're probably talking shit about me. Where are we? At the stream. Here we go, guys. There we are, boys.
Okay. What's up, everyone?
What's up?
All right, so I want to say hi to Scott from My Bourbon Journey, Chris from Bourbinsane, and we have Neil the Deal and El Jefe from the Bourbon Buddies.
What is up? What's up, guys? What's going on, guys?
So, Scott, before we start, why don't you tell everybody about where to find you if they don't know you already?
Yeah, so thanks for having me on. I was looking forward to this. I think this will be a nice little series. Everybody can kind of talk a little bit about things around them, so that'll be good. So, my name is Scott. I run the My Bourbon Journey whiskey review channel. So generally or mostly bourbons, rye, American style whiskeys, things along those lines. So if that's of interest, go ahead and smash that old subscribe button and everything else that follows along, and make sure you subscribe to these guys too if you haven't already. So thanks, guys.
The man, the myth, the legend, the toe typer, Chris from Bourbinsane.
Guilty as charged. Yeah, Bourbinsane on YouTube. Mostly bourbons and ryes. Occasionally a scotch, but you know, we're mostly bourbon, I'd say, as all of us are here, I think, for the most part. Been on YouTube for what, a year and a half now ish, going on that. Live streams, man, that's where it's at. I'm loving live streams, hanging out with everyone. This is what it's all about, community, you know. Check it out, though.
And the Bourbon Buddies, you guys, we've talked a few times and want to get you on. Finally, the timing worked out. So why don't you tell everyone where to find you, man? Introduce yourselves.
Well, I'm Neil Deal, and I'm El Jefe. Yep. So, we're on YouTube, and pretty much right now we're kind of putting out one video per week, just kind of doing reviews. We're going to be doing some new stuff kind of coming up, so.
We got some ideas.
Yeah, we got some
kicking
ideas.
some ideas around. We got some ideas.
Which that could be good or bad. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanna thank you guys for challenging me for the Christmas challenge.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. Epic video. Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I kind of walked by the bunny suit and I figured, you know what, that might be a good idea.
Yeah. I hate you guys for it, by the way.
Yeah, because I challenged Scott, and then Scott ended up doing the whole Cousin Eddie bit, which was brilliant.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
All right, guys, this is what we're gonna do. Let's I also want to say before we sign off, guys, pay attention to the craft spirits we're gonna be talking about, because I will be doing a giveaway tonight, 2 of them. So it'll be based on some of the. It'll be based on some of the information that you hear from all of us. And it could be something random, but something from one of the craft spirits we'll be sipping on. So let's go with guest first. Scott, what's your first whiskey that you, so tell us where you live, what great state are you in?
Yeah, so I'm in
whiskey?
Yeah, so okay, so I'm in Badgerland, so I'm in the state of Wisconsin. So just like most of anybody from the state of Michigan or their teams, any of that kind of stuff. Ohio State, not a huge fan of all those fuckers either. Penn State, whatever. What is what it is. Anyway, all right, I won't go down that rabbit hole. But so anyway, my first whiskey is not a newer, maybe within the last 4 or 5 years. But this is Driftless Glen. They're out of a city by the name of Baraboo. And actually, one quick little kind of fun fact: Baraboo is the kind of home of the Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey's like circus thing. So everything that goes on and the train that goes all over the place, all comes right out of there. So they got a big, huge Ringling Brothers thing. So there's a big touristy area that a lot of people go to, but I steer clear of that and go right to the whiskey section. So,
good thinking.
So yeah, and then the other thing with them, this is a company that Dave Pickerel actually started and got up and running for them, and so they're really kind of off and running now, and really doing some fantastic things. They've got the rye whiskey I've got tonight is actually a store pick, and this is almost 4 years old, 47 months. This is a straight rye whiskey single barrel, and it's absolutely fantastic. If you don't mind a rye whiskey that's got a little bit of like mint behind it, some nice vanilla, some caramels, it's really well put together. I mean, the proof could maybe be a little bit more, 96 proof, but it is what it is. I don't get so hung up on that. It's just a really nice, solid, daily sipping kind of rye. So
is that did you say it's a high rye?
No, so this is actually a lower rye. So this, I believe, and don't quote me on this. I probably should have found this out, but I think this is a 51% rye.
Okay, so
yeah.
It's kind of Kentucky rye-ish.
Yeah. It's kind of a bourbon. It's kind of a bourbon drinker's rye whiskey, and even without knowing the mash bill, I would say this is a very approachable rye whiskey for really anybody. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Bourbon Buddy,
nice.
you're up. What's first on your list tonight?
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go. You have your pick there.
Oh, thank you.
So tell us what great state are you guys in?
So we're from Pennsylvania, and we actually have a lot of rye going on here. Corn really doesn't grow. I mean, it grows here.
Oh, there's plenty of corn.
Plenty of corn.
There's plenty of corn.
But the rye really kind of grows really well in PA. So the first one I want to kind of mention here is from Lancaster, and this is Thistle Finch. These guys are just doing a really nice job of everything. That if you're a bourbon or rye guy, this is kind of where you would want to be, because they're just doing everything right. It's a really unique mash bill. It's 60% rye, 30% wheat, and then 10% malted barley. So there's no
wow,
corn.
okay, so no corn. So that
They're like, yep, no corn.
I would imagine it's kind of spicy and fruity at the same time, possibly.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. This is kind of younger, so it's a straight rye, so it's 2 years, at least 2 years, obviously. And
so Pennsylvania has, that is where the rye, that's where rye was kind of born out in Pennsylvania.
Rye country.
Yep.
Yeah, pure rye country.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, they're the rye, it has a very specific style, and it really does. So with this one too, it's really cool. At the distillery, they're not really separating the grains from the liquid before fermentation. So everything's kind of all in there, all together, and they believe that kind of retains a lot of the flavor. So it stays in there pretty much throughout the whole process. And then I know that they go in a lower proof, so they're doing like a detuning their runs on the still. So they're going a lower proof on this. They actually don't have to add any water actually going into barrel. So so it just has so much flavor. Really like Thistle Finch. They're doing great things. They know what they're doing. This is at 45% alcohol, so 90 proof. I'd like to be more, but I'm kind of looking forward to seeing where they're going to go with this, and it's really cool.
You said Lancaster, right?
Yeah, Lancaster. So
is that near the Amish?
Oh yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the Amish are amazing at building absolutely anything. So you can go down there and just buy all kinds of unbelievable furniture. They're like insane about it. And also there's a bunch of breakfast places down there the breakfast buffet down there is insane.
And they make awesome peanut butter pie.
Ooh, I've never. Oh man.
It was one of my favorite things when I used to live out in New Jersey. My dad did a lot of traveling, and he got up into PA. And he would always stop at this one little place, this little Amish place, and I'm assuming the lady or whoever it was would make these pies, and oh my god, it was the greatest thing ever.
It's like part of the culture, the baking and all that stuff.
Dude, they want the shoe fly pie too.
Yeah,
they know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jeff, you want to?
Yeah, real quick, I'll throw one in that I'm excited about. This is from Eight Oaks Distillery, and it's in New Tripoli, Pennsylvania, which is actually pretty close to us, maybe 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So But what's really cool about this, one, it's veteran owned, which is awesome. And it's literally a farm to bottle distillery. They grow all the grains there. They do it all there. Nothing is sourced from anywhere as far as ingredients go. So that to me is pretty cool. So they're not like they're handling it from start to finish.
Yeah.
And, we're not sure about who does the Pinot Noir finish, but this Pinot Noir finish is amazing. I think the bourbon itself, like if you get their straight bourbon, it's a little young.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's young.
It's young, but the Pinot Noir just rounds it off. And I'm digging this up. Neil actually got it for me for Christmas.
That's what Buddy's got it.
I've had their they have a port finished rye that's really good. It's just it sells out, so I wasn't able to get it for tonight. But really good stuff coming out of them, and I dig the fact that they're farming it and distilling it and doing the whole thing there. So that's definitely something to check out. And they make a lot of other stuff too, like gins and all kinds of other stuff. So
that's kind of an ongoing trade with the craft distillery. They got to make some vodka, some gin, to make some money while their stuff is aging. So that's gonna always happen usually.
Yeah, but they're just doing a good job, and I think around here it's probably one of the best ones.
Yeah, I agree.
Get your hands on.
Cool, man. Chris, what do you got? You're in Michigan. Everybody knows, I think.
So Michigan, we have a lot of. I mean, really, probably all of the country. There's so many popping up everywhere. Traverse City specifically is what I'm going to start with. Traverse City Whiskey Company.
Yep.
You guys can see that well or not, but they have a whole bunch of different expressions.
I actually have one here because I had a feeling you were going to whip that out.
Barrel proof. Yep.
Yeah.
And I got that one here.
Let's hope that's the only thing he whips out.
No promises.
Only if you're lucky, Scott.
Sorry. Carry on. Sorry.
So Traverse City Whiskey Companies, they call it the Whiskey of the North because it's northern Michigan. They do a little bit of both. So they have a lot of stuff that's MGP barrels, and then now they're starting to age their own stuff. So the sample pack that I was sent from Traverse City actually was about 3 to 4 year, probably about 4 year. But now they're continuing to age their own stuff. So they've got 5 year and higher coming out. So they have put out a higher, like a barrel proof that's a 5 year. But where the money is at is the blending with the MGP picks that they do. There's some Traverse City whiskey barrel proof picks that are just phenomenal. Like 12, 13-year-old picks I've had in Michigan. They sell out so quick because it's just delicious barrel proof MGP is what it is.
Yeah.
They have a whole bunch of different expressions. So they have the regular bourbon or the straight bourbon, barrel proof bourbon. They have a North Coast rye, which I believe is actually 100% rye whiskey as well. Wow. This is 47%. This is all their own product. It's too young, honestly. It's just too young. It needs more time. It's very rye. It's 100% rye, so it's really rye. But
so here's a quick question by Rebecca Page. I want to get your guys to weigh in on this. So what's the cutoff between a craft distillery and I don't know, I guess a big name one? And I don't really think there's an answer to that. I think the answer is I think they're all craft distilleries.
Yeah, because they all do it different.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah.
They're all. I mean, you could say Buffalo Trace, Jim Beam are all craft distilleries. They're all making stuff grain to glass. Some of them just do it and obviously have it way more scaled up than the smaller ones.
Right.
So.
Well, and the interesting thing is Willet Distillery is still considered craft. It's still a craft distillery.
Yeah.
You know, which is crazy because of the amount of juice they produce. But
maybe there should be like a standard in terms of how many barrels you produce a year or something. But I don't even know if that would matter or not. I mean, it seems like either you're super large, Beam, Buffalo Trace, or you're a craft one. I mean, if you're not in that league, it seems like you kind of get lumped in with. I mean, like Jason, I think on the podcast you did, weren't you guys even mentioning Wilderness Trail like somehow still being considered craft whiskey?
Yeah, and they're really not. They're really. I think the overall arch, and I forgot the guy's name who we mentioned, the historian. I should totally know his name. Beach. Yeah, Beach. That he said that they're really all not craft distilleries. They're artisan distilleries, and you could kind of put that label on all of them.
Right.
And it's true. But real quick, guys, I want to call out a couple other people here in the chat that came in. Drew Bolin, 123. How you doing, man? Thanks for coming in. Mac the Whiskey Crusaders. Peter White, looking forward to your 1 year in a little bit. Emily Chambers, how are you? Bourbon Junkies are in the house. What is up, boys?
Okay.
Or one of you? Monroe Doctrine's here. Donald Rants. Dram Bam, thank you, ma'am, is here. Vladislav Traps.
That's awesome.
That name.
Yep.
No.
Awesome name. Honest Charlie's here. Yep. Everwin says craft usually equals small, not industrialized, automated production. Yeah, I could go with that too. It's like I said, you're using the same process. You're just either scaling it way up or scaling it back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Size of the equipment.
Yeah. So for me, I have a really this is probably one of my favorite stories, which was the let me move this real quick. So I'm picking out, it's called Tom's Foolery bourbon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this is, now see on the label there, it says bonded bourbon. This is the only bonded warehouse in Ohio. So they are, and the story behind them a little bit, which I found really cool, is on the back of the bottle you see two big copper pot stills there on the back of the bottle. So the story behind the pot stills is that so this was founded by Tom and Leanne Herbruck. That's who founded the distillery. And this pot stills, it's really cool what they did, because they got the two pot stills that jump-started their distillery from Michter's. Now, not just any two copper pot stills, but these were the first two pot stills that Michter's built post-Prohibition.
Wow.
And they were able to acquire these two stills. I mean, they were really historic. I'm not sure how we got his hands on them. I don't remember the exact story. But unfortunately, they've kind of amped up their production now, and now those two pot stills are back in the Michter's, kind of in the historic in their history area at the distillery. So now they've kind of scaled up and they've gotten some bigger pot stills there. But yeah, so this is right now they've acquired a 200-gallon, 150-year-old pot still from France, commissioned a 1,000-gallon beer still from in Cleveland, Ohio. They do pot still bourbon, and I love that. It just gives it a creamier, kind of more of a bite to it. It's 72% corn, 12% rye, and 16% malted barley. One of the only U.S. bonded warehouse in Ohio, and they're using it. And I really thought it was a cool story. So I wanted to highlight them tonight. And this is, I think it's a little over 4 years old, and it's weird because when I first tried this bourbon, I was like, when I was smelling it, it smelled like a youthful bourbon, but at the same time, on the palate just belies that nose, because it's so creamy and so butterscotchy on the back end. And I think that's due in part to the pot still. I'm absolutely loving what they're doing. It's just really good stuff. If anyone comes across Tom's Foolery, it's definitely worth, especially the bonded. They also make a rye, which I haven't tried, but their bonded bourbon, I think, is worth a go.
Yeah, just Jason, real quick, just with the whole pot still. Yeah. I totally agree with you. I think what it happens is that, you get some of just a little bit more character to everything. And I think that you can get sometimes some inconsistencies, which I think are good. It's not like where it's just a machine, it's just all pumping out the same thing. It's like you kind of got to know your still. If there's certain still. Yeah. And I think that just kind of adds to the whole character of your bourbon or your rye or whiskey or anything. So I think, like around here in PA, I noticed that a lot of our, craft distilleries, they're doing all, everything in copper pot stills, which is really cool. And I think that even when you have the lower proof, you're still getting a lot of flavor out of it because of that.
It seems to retain flavor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, really so it's nice to kind of see that.
I want to give a big shout out to the Bourbon Junkies who came in with a $20 super chat. Thank you so much, guys. Congrats on just passing 6,000 subs, man.
Yeah,
they're going like crazy.
Yeah, they are killing.
Yeah, they're gonna.
I love it.
They're gonna be leaving. They're gonna be leaving me in the dust at some point real soon. Jeremal says Tom's Foolery Bonded rye was very rubber, eucalyptus, and mint. Well, that's typical of a younger rye.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he says if Chris doesn't pick the best Michigan whiskey, we can never hang out again. He knows which one. So that's on you, buddy.
We'll see.
Also, we just got a $5 super chat coming in from, who did I miss here? From Joseph Brazo, $1 for each of you.
There you go.
Joseph. Now, what I say is Joseph lives out in Washington, and one of my favorite craft whiskeys that I'll be reviewing next week is Woodinville.
Oh yeah.
And if none of you guys have had Woodinville bourbon, it's that shit's on another level. For a craft whiskey to be making stuff like that, I still have to go in and do the research of what they're doing, but the flavor profile cannot be denied of what they're creating. I mean, it's just pure candy, and for a craft whiskey to be putting out that type of flavor, it's so good.
You know what? Speaking of Woodinville, it's one of those companies I'm kind of surprised hasn't gotten more traction lately. I mean, they really produce a few nice whiskeys. And I know they got some finishes on some things too, but they've got some really nice whiskey.
Yeah, Jim Muller saying he's having a pour of it right now. Yeah, it's really good stuff.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah. Bourbon Junkies with another super chat. Dude, what are you guys, drunk already?
Drinking along with us.
You guys are my people with the community part of, man. Also, everyone knows how much I love Jason. Yes, that must be Dan, because me and Dan are like, we would snuggle if we could.
Snuggle buddies.
Snuggle buddies, yeah, the snuggle buddies.
Hold on, we've got some. Hey, we got see Scotch Test Dummies are here. Hi everyone, we're gonna be seeing you a little later in the Whiskey Crusaders 1 year. Thanks for coming in, man. I saw a question from everyone here. Here we go. The Master Jones, so I have a question about corn. Used to be corn, had lots of protein, and now they have engineered high sugar corn. What kind of corn are they using for whiskey?
High sugar corn.
What's that?
High sugar corn is the answer.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, to be in the simplest form, yeah, most of it is high sugars. You do have your craft distilleries using some heirloom corns. Also, big shout out to Iron Root Republic. Just got World Whiskey of the Year.
I saw that.
I mean, incredible. And I mean, look at all the heirloom corns they're using. They're using Jimmy Red corn or Bloody Butcher corn. They're using purple corn, which is like, what? The corn gets purple? All to create these really unique flavor profiles. So I think it's really, when it comes to just straight up Kentucky sweet bourbons, you're looking at, heirloom corns that have a high sugar content.
Yep.
And the corn that they use isn't like the regular corn you're going in and buying in the supermarket. Mm-hmm. It's a different type of grown corn.
Right.
So let me click off here. We just got another super chat just came in. Jeremy Sears says, appreciate all that you guys do. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. So if you guys with Jeremy's channel, if you guys dig like whiskey stuff and just like he used to do a thing with Manship Monday or Manship whatever day. Dude, his channel is awesome. Like he covers everything that I think a lot of the people in here would really dig. Kind of watching. So cigars, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I spoke to Jeremy a little bit. We're going to do a collaboration at some time soon. But really, if anyone hasn't checked out his channel, does an awesome job of quality video. Just some of the shit he talks about is just awesome. Go check out Jeremy. Thank you so much, everybody in the room right here. Raise your glass. Cheers to all the super chats so far.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.
Cheers,
guys. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate the support tonight. All right. And we have another super chat from Ian, that bourbon guy. So super happy you got some higher love out there. If you want some cast strength Toms, let me know. We will work something out. Hell yeah, buddy. I want to try some cast strength Toms. Thank you so much. This conversation is corny. Pun intended. Well done, sir. Cheers,
that's
man.
A good one.
It's not that in.
All right. So what do you guys eat? What are each of you guys sipping right now?
I kind of pulled back out. So this is another local one for me, local-ish. They're out of kind of Madison, J. Henry and Sons. Maybe you guys have heard of them.
I've had the chance of trying some of that John Henry, and it is good shit.
Yeah. So this bottle specifically was their straight bourbon whiskey, aged 7 years, cask strength, almost 119 proof.
Nice.
And this bottle from which was called 100, barrel number 100. But the special part with this one was they do a lot of stuff with Nancy Fraley. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with who she is. If not, she's kind of a master blender, master taster, nicknamed the nose because I guess she's got a obviously great nose and a really good palate. But the story behind this barrel 100 was when she was going through and doing some of the blending at J. Henry, she pulled this out basically as a honey barrel and said, "Don't blend this with anything, bottle this," and I'm glad they did it. And I know Jason tried it when we got together down in Kentucky last year, and it's just cherry chocolate. It's rich. It's got a little bit of a different profile. And a lot of the stuff from Wisconsin it's just something with the corn here that gives it a little bit of a different profile, but it's really, really good. And one of my favorite kind of local distilleries.
Yeah, John, that's really good stuff. And I remember that barrel that Nancy Fraley pulled.
Yeah.
That we had tried, and that was dessert in a glass if I've ever had one.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. Viscous, oily, all of that. So
we have Eric W in the chat. J. Henry for the win, he says.
There you go. I'll agree. I'll agree with him.
Scott's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Mike.
Yep. Have a good night, guys. Have a good night.
See you, Scott.
All right. Neil the Deal and El Jefe. What do you got next from the great state of Pennsylvania?
Wow. You know what? We just poured this. This is Dad's hat.
Oh yeah. I like Dad's hat.
Amazing.
Yeah. So they're right out of Bristol, PA, which is kind of a little bit outside of Philadelphia, and wow, they're just doing amazing stuff. This is their single barrel cask strength, which PA Fine Wine Good Spirits does like a barrel pick of it. So awesome. This is at 62.8% alcohol.
Woo.
Yeah, 125.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And dude, this is
so is Dad's hat created in the traditional, the old style Pennsylvania rye style?
Yeah, so Dad's hat is got it like it's kind of like interesting thing. So they got the 80% rye, okay, and then they got the 15% malted barley, and then the 5% malted rye. So again, no corn.
Okay.
And they're doing the whole traditional thing. I think they do like a 1 week fermentation, and which is kind of interesting. And then they do, I think, a 500-gallon pot still.
1 week, hey?
Yeah, they do a lot. Yeah, 1 week.
Wow.
And they watch it closely. But
that's crazy.
I'll tell you what, they have a bottled in bond. They have this. They have a rye finished in vermouth barrels, which is. I haven't tried it, so I'm kind of looking to get that maybe. And they do a straight rye. Yeah, they're doing great things.
It seems to be one of the bigger ones in our area.
Yeah.
There's actually even a winery by us, Blue Ridge, that's not far from us, that will actually take the old Dad's hat barrel and they put a wine in it, and then they bury it in the ground.
Yeah.
For like, I think it's 8-9 months or something like that. And then they have a big celebration, and they dig the barrels back up, and they literally pop the barrel and do a wine tasting right out there in the field.
That's cool.
So it's pretty cool. Like, they're involved in a lot of local stuff, and they seem to be probably one of the bigger ones locally, being like, you can go to the store and buy it. You don't have to buy it right there at the distillery.
Mm-hmm. So Cap and Make It Happen says that hat certainly isn't shabby, but man, it's got that dill note I can't take. Is it dilly?
It's dilly. Yeah. It's dilly. It's dilly. Yeah. Yeah. It's got some dill. I kind of call it like a little dill sprig kind of slapped in there, but it's. But you know what? It's kind of like if you take like a peaty Scotch, and once you got to kind of get past that peat, there's all these other things underneath of it. It's kind of like that. If you kind of think of the peat as dill,
Yeah.
Once you get past the dill, it's like, all right, there's a lot of kind of stuff going on underneath it. Yeah, I really dig it.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And I think Dad's Hat was actually the bourbon that like Fred Minnick talks about as being kind of like the older profile, like the older whiskey profile, you know?
I'm talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, what do you got next out of Michigan?
Well, I guess I broke out the Bourbon Junkies glass.
Uh-oh.
We
Are
got
they,
to go.
are they a new up and coming channel or what? Who are they?
You're placating.
There it is. I was waiting for the Pingree to come out.
Yep, this is Pingree. So Mayor Pingree, he was a mayor in Detroit, the Detroit area. One of the best mayors, I guess, in the history. I honestly don't know his personal history, but that's the story they go with, you know. This is their 4-year red label bourbon. Now, this is all their own product, 47%, which is nice, a little amplified and proof. But this is, I think, one of the best 4 years out there. Like, I really do. You know, I know, Jason, with your live with Dan and Sean, you guys tried that in your blind against some other 4 years.
Yeah.
And this, depending on the New Riff expression you get, like if you could do bourbon to bourbon head to head, I prefer this over the New Riff bourbon myself.
Wow.
I do.
Are they, Chris, are they making their own stuff or is that?
They are now. Yes. This is the first full release, as far as I know, of their actual all own product, because they were blending in MGP with their own stuff.
Okay.
Color.
But, like this year, they put out a, I actually have it here. Not this year, last year, I guess now, but this is the Mayor Pingree, the black label. Now they have black label, blue label. This is a 7-year age statement, but funny thing about this is it's actually majority 12 and 13-year-old barrels from MGP, but they blended in a 7 because they thought the flavor profile was better that way.
Yeah,
So-
I have a bottle of the 4-year, and I was really impressed with it. It's really good. I definitely would have thought that was a little bit older.
Exactly. Yeah. The flavor profile is just good. Like it's not off-putting. It doesn't really, you get a little bit of graininess, but not to the point where, like you said, you'd guess it's a 4-year. You know,
Yeah.
it definitely seems like it's older. But some of if you guys have ever tried any Mayor Pingree picks, like the blue label picks, some of the 10, 11, 12-year picks, the black labels they've had have been phenomenal. Another company that's just excellent at blending MGP, which is some of my favorite stuff, honestly.
Actually, that's a good segue into another one. Actually, you know, I'll go with my next one. This is Watershed bourbon out of Ohio.
Yeah.
The reason why, so this got a little bit of notoriety last year because Forbes put out an article, 10 best bourbons beyond Kentucky, and this one made the list.
Wow.
So the story with this one is this is another grain to glass distillery here in Ohio, in Columbus, directly. It's a 4-grain mash bill, but not your typical one. This is corn, wheat, rye, and spelt. So spelt is basically just it's a subspecies of wheat.
Right.
It doesn't have the fruitiness that wheat has, but it does garner a little bit of a fruitiness character to it. It's rarely used in distilled spirits. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass to work with, but Watershed seems to do a good job at it. This is a little over 4 years old. I think they're putting out older stuff now. Basically, the reason why they're using spelt is because, a little known fact, Ohio grows the most spelt out of any state in the country. So it was kind of a call to action and kind of pays homage to the agriculture here in Ohio. So I thought that was kind of a cool story as they were kind of using it. It was founded in 2010. They started distilling, I think, in 2012. They started with a 60-gallon pot still. Doing double distillation. Again, another pot still story, trying to get the most out of that younger whiskey. I think the pot still definitely helps in that aspect.
Yep,
definitely.
Now they've already expanded. Now they've gone without that 60-gallon double distillation. Now they've gone into 2 larger stills that they're using now, still pot stills. But again, they also make a gin and apple brandy, vodka. They make this thing called Nocino, which is an Italian black walnut drink, which is really delicious. But yeah, this one on the nose, it's that you could really get the malty and spiciness from the spelt. But I'm telling you, I've left this in my glass for a good 20 minutes to see if it got any fruitier, and it really does. It's one of those ones where right off the bat, it's malty and earthy. You could smell the youth in it a little bit, but you just let it sit in the glass a little bit, and all of a sudden some fruits start coming out of it. I think at this point it's really good for cocktails, but as far as sipping it neat, I don't know if it's quite there yet where I would go and just be sipping on it neat all the time. I think it needs a little bit more time, like a lot of craft distilleries, but I think it's got some good promise to it. I will say that.
That's cool. That's really cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that stuff maybe about a year ago. I think I've even got a bottle of it still around here somewhere, but I'll have to go back to it and see what it's like.
I would recommend just kind of leaving it in the glass for a while before you go, because once you get past the malty and earthy notes, it does get a little bit better.
Well, like you said before, I think with the younger whiskeys, with them making it with the pot still, it does take away a little bit of that graininess and kind of, makes it a little bit more creamy, so it makes it a little more palatable.
Yeah.
So that's one advantage to younger pot still whiskeys, and it has that little bit of a funk to it, so which I don't mind at all.
Emily Chambers, yes, Nocino, yeah, exactly. Yeah, tu sei bella. There we go. Actually, yeah, Jeremy Sears would be really cool if he's still in the chat. We should do we'll talk about it offline. We should do a cigar and bourbon pairing night live.
Oh yeah,
There you go. I'm in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool to do, man. If you're into it, let me know. Let's see. Dark Meat Chicken says, what percentage of your collection are from craft distilleries? And do you find yourself giving craft distilleries a pass on price? It depends. I think some craft distilleries are a little bit high up there with their pricing. Listen, there's a couple of Texas distilleries where I think are really good, but are like Garrison Brothers. It's good stuff, but it's really high price. Yeah. $80, $90 just for a regular bottle. I think at some points they're a little high. I could deal with about $40, $50 for a craft distillery, especially if you're making other products to kind of to replace that margin a little bit, like gin, vodka, rum, whatever you're making. I could see that. If you're strictly making bourbon, I could see why you'd probably price it that high, because you have nothing supplementing that income a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a lot to that. There's a lot to that plays into it. I think it also depends on location, your overhead. There's a lot that goes into it. A lot of people kill Peerless over their prices, but I mean, and I've said this on my channel before. Wilderness Trail has kind of figured out how to keep their prices down.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Peerless, what they did, they were doing everything. They poured so much money into that distillery in the beginning, and every process they use cost them more money. They have a low entry proof, which you got to make more barrels, which costs money. Right. Sweet mashing, which is cleaning out everything before you redistill again. That's more money there. Their bottle design, just rebuilding the entire distillery. So a lot of price factors come into it. Mm-hmm. People will, but sometimes it doesn't matter. You just see the label. It says 2-year rye for $120.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's everyone's right. That you can do that. That's no fault in doing that. But usually when you see stuff like that, there's a reason it's that high. Hopefully, if not, if they're just trying to gouge you, then go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Hey, I've got a quick question for you guys. I got a response from somebody the other day from a video I did, and it was basically with that Smooth Ambler Old Scout, which is now they've kind of gone back to MGP and anyway, so that new one is now like 5 years old, and someone responded with basically that it was young, and it kind of like took me back. I didn't know if he meant like young tasting or that it was just young. And then the response was, well, it was 5 years, so it was young. So, I mean, I don't consider 5-year whiskey like young. I mean, there's a special category that I think everybody knows of, bottle and bond. That's 4 years, and people rave over a lot of it. So the argument about a 5-year whiskey being young, to me, wasn't very valid when there's a whole separate category that's 1 year less, and people rave about a lot of it. So I was just interested in your thoughts.
Well, I think a lot of that is it doesn't dictate anything. There are young whiskeys that taste phenomenal, and there are some that old whiskeys that taste phenomenal. And I really don't think you can judge it by an age state. I just don't think that's just to sign it like to blow it off because it's only a 5-year. I'm not going to like it is just that's ridiculous, because the one thing about whiskey and the thing that we love about it, and I hope I speak for everybody, but there's always something new to try. Just because something is young doesn't mean it's bad. There's so many variables. That's why it keeps you interested.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
to say that something's young just by the age or that's too young is just a little.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's younger than White Dog, and some of that shit's delicious.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
that's
like Barton has kind of 1792 and some of their products has kind of all of a sudden. I'm really liking their shit lately. The 1792 Bottled and Bond.
Yeah.
Their sweet wheat. I mean,
have you had the sweet wheat?
yeah, and they're if you ever go to the distillery though, and you have their new make, oh my god, I wish they would bottle it. It tastes like pure butter popcorn.
Yeah,
with the high. It's got the high rye spice to it. I want that in a bottle. So, Barton, if you're listening, that's my request for this year.
Yeah, I think Barton is they're kind of killing it now. They're not necessarily on par with like Old Forester, but I think 1792. I think they're starting to gain a little more traction as well. So,
so Whiskey Obsessed. He's just said if the White Dog isn't good, run away. Now. There's some caveats to that because I had the Jep the Creed White Dog and it was delicious and they fucking ruined it.
White Dog.
It haunts you.
Yeah, it does. It haunts me. It's over there and it's staring at me. Turn around. I want to get into another whiskey that I really love here out of Ohio. It's called High Bank. I was lucky enough to get invited from Adam Hines. He is the he's half marketing, half blender, half distiller. He does a little bit of everything there. So they've made this blend called Whiskey War. It's got a really cool design. I'll show it to you here.
Oh, cool.
Barrel proof, nice.
It's a pretty young distillery. This is a blended whiskey. It's two whiskeys from Indiana. And also a Tennessee whiskey blended together. But it's aged and blended. It's all aged and blended in-house once they source it. And it's also it's an 80% rye.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So it's got really, really beautiful rye notes to it. It's amazing in cocktails. But I did want to shout them out because even though they have bourbon that they did grain to glass and it's aging and it's sitting in-house and it's aging now. But they're doing a lot of different things with Cabernet finishing, Sangiovese, rum casks. They're doing a lot of different experiments right now, and I think that could be one of the names to watch coming out of Columbus at some point soon. So I'm actually going to pour a little bit of this now because it's actually pretty damn good at barrel proof.
Yeah, I have to now.
So Scott, what do you got? You got one more for us?
Yeah. So the third one I have here is. They've gotten again some pretty good distribution, but it's called Limousine Rye.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people have seen it. I know Chris probably sees it. I don't know if it gets as far east as PA. Jason, it might be by you, but so what this is, so this is very kind of interesting. When I first tasted it, it tasted like it had a wine finish, like a white wine finish to it, but it's a sourced rye whiskey from MGP, a little bit on the younger side, that they then get back to run it through the Solera process. Okay. So I think that in itself starts to kind of do some different things just because of the process with that. But it's very smooth. It's got some interesting kind of characteristics to it. It's soft, it's approachable, but it's got this white wine finish to it that I think makes it very enjoyable. A lot of people around here use it for cocktails, and I think it does a pretty good job. But yeah, it's easy to sip on. I think it's, what is this, 90? I think it's 92 proof. and the limousine. So they're spending some money by, well, you know, Neil and Jeff probably know, with the limousine barrels. They're I think maybe the most expensive barrel in the world. I think I don't quote me on that, but so these are it's all aged in limousine oak, and so it gives, again, a little bit more of a different profile, and yeah, really, really interesting. So if you guys do see it, limousine rye, and the distillery is Dancing Goat Distillery. Dancing Goat, yeah.
That's cool.
That's very
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen that one, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I think it's maybe like 30, $32.
That's not too bad, honestly, for a crab.
Yeah, you know, I'd go with that all day. I mean, if it's under $40 and it's something like that, like I'm
right.
gonna pick that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a cool process. They're you know, putting money into the whole thing. They're really trying to get their product out there to more people. And I think a lot of times when people try this, they're just expecting a young rye, but it really catches most people off guard. So I think if you guys see it, or anybody does see it, you know, give it a try. I think you'll really enjoy it.
Well, and there's another argument for the age state, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you really can't judge it on that. Nope.
So. Yeah. No, I
you got one last ones, buddies?
Oh yeah.
Oh, we got plenty here.
Should we do?
There's a certain label I haven't heard you mention yet. I wonder if you're gonna whip it out right now.
Oh, is it this one?
I can't say. What is it?
Oh yeah, the light. It's Kinsey.
Kinsey?
Oh, Kenzie. Oh,
yeah. Is that not the label you wanted? We'll
he sounds so disappointed.
I was thinking of. I thought you were gonna bring out the Wiggle.
Oh no! So the Wiggle's kind of out towards Pittsburgh, that's whatever. That's it. we don't mess with that.
We're getting territorial now.
Yeah, when I look out of the window of my house, I look at New Jersey. So
yeah.
Oh, the sweet smell of New Jersey. Yeah, it brings me back.
Hey, New Jersey. We're fond of New Jersey. We like it. For another time.
Yeah. All right. So Kenzie, they're the ones that use a mostly barley mash bill. Is that correct?
So Kinsey, their Kinsey line. I know it's hard to see here, but Kinsey line is they're sourcing this from MGP. So what they did with this one, this is a Zinfandel cast finish, and this is so what they do is they source. Actually, you know what? I don't know if this one's from MGP, because I don't know if MGP does 100% corn whiskey. Do you guys know if they do that?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, so they're sourcing it from somewhere, but it's 10 years. So it's a 10-year corn whiskey that is then finished in Zinfandel casks.
That's probably really sweet.
Yeah, it's got this like you know how like those corn husks kind of like kick in, and it's kind of got that like weird kind of thing up, but the Zinfandel then kicks in with that sweetness.
Right.
Nice.
Mellows everything out.
Yeah.
But Kinsey, so New Liberty Distillery out of Philadelphia, they're doing Kinsey line, which is all sourced right now, which I think they're going to kind of replace that with their own distillate.
Right.
And they also put out New Liberty stuff that's all from their actual own, distillate. So they're doing Bloody Butcher bourbon with Bloody Butcher corn bourbon, and they're doing like a 100% malt, which you were talking about.
Nice.
And it's what they're doing. It's pretty solid, a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah. I love the interesting different corn varietals and the different types of grains that different distilleries are using, especially when you talk about where they're from. I feel like as the further you go west, there's kind of an earthy root beer note that you get in some of the craft whiskeys. I feel like from the east, things tend to be a little bit sweeter. I'm not a big fan of the New York, the Empire Rise, and I feel bad saying that. I'm going to get shot because I grew up here. But I feel like the Empire Rise literally tastes and smell like paint thinner sometimes.
You never go against the family.
Yeah, exactly.
For that whiskey specifically, I wonder if that's an old MGP light whiskey that they're using.
Oh, could be actually.
Oh,
It's a good thought.
You know, 'cause I know MGP. That's another thing. Like I know that's a whole other subject, but I know MGP's got a big stock of like older light whiskey, and there's a lot of companies. Right? Yeah, a lot of companies are starting to snatch that stuff up and do finishings and all that kind of stuff. So
that could, you know what? I really think that could be possible because it's hard to get 10-year source. You know,
right?
Why would they have? Source they get rid of it. Yeah.
So before we get to Chris, a couple of questions that came in quickly. If you guys have an answer, what craft distillery do you think is the next Buffalo Trace, the next big thing?
New Riff.
Yeah, I'm gonna say New Riff.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know. I don't know if there's like a next one. I mean, to scale that big, like to be Beam and Buffalo Trace,
huge.
I mean, that's a whole other level. And I mean,
I think it's already going to be. I mean, like Scott brought up before. I don't know if they're considered craft anymore, but Wilderness Trail.
Yeah.
Their stuff is so high quality already, and they're getting to that 5-year, 6-year mark, and they're churning out over 200 barrels a day of distillate. I mean. That would be the next one in the progression. I could see New Riff there too in that argument.
The argument of how big will it get because there's so many coming out. Are we creating the market? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you're just not having
Blue Bowling, is Jeff a solid craft distillery? I hear you love it. Yeah. You know what? They are a solid craft distillery. I just hope they get better. That's all. I'm all for every craft distillery succeeding and getting better, and I hope they do. This is a great question from the Wrench. What do you guys think about these craft distilleries sourcing bottles that turn out amazing and then eventually start replacing it with their own product, which turns out to be not as good?
Good question.
That's a really good question, and I think a big example of that is High West. A lot of people love their early stuff because it was purely GP sourced. Midwinters, the old ones are really coveted because they were sourced. Now they have their own stuff mixed in. Some people aren't as high about it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, New Riff was a perfect example of that. When they were producing all of their older OKIs that they had that were 10, 12, 13-year-old MGP, people like raved about it. I mean, it's fantastic stuff. And then, I mean, I don't want to say they got lucky, but then they switched over to making some of their own stuff, put out that, 4-year bottled and bond, and they did a really nice job with it. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that was a good example of a younger whiskey that I think they really hit the nail on the head with it. They just did a really nice job with it. So.
And I think one is going to be Boone County. I'm curious about because
Nick Falls already beat you too. And he says, "AKA Boone County, the small."
There you go. I'm just going to say the small batch is a blend of 7-year-old whiskey in it. Yeah, and it's okay, but it's really not. I mean, compared to the MGP stuff they put out, I mean, it's just not. It's not there. So
I mean, it is. I think there's a lot to be said about that changeover. There's. You hope basically what you hope is while they're sourcing, there's lessons learned there. So when they are making their own distillate and bottling it, you hope that product and that quality is still there. Yeah. And if they have to blend with some of the stuff they're still sourcing to keep that flavor profile at least a bit close, that's what they're going to do. And I don't fault them for that.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm not going to bring out a product that tastes like shit just so I could say it's all my own distillate.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, you're shooting yourself in the foot there.
Yeah. Perfect example is Bardstown Bourbon Company.
Yeah,
they're taking their own distillate and putting it in at small amounts and saying things that they know are awesome. And
Bardstown Bourbon Company. That's a great call out, buddies.
Yeah, man.
They are, and they're so transparent about it, which I love.
Yes.
They give you all the mash bills, and you can kind of go, okay, I kind of know where that's from, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Chris, you got one more from Michigan?
I'll just call out real quick Grand Traverse Distilleries. This is another one that's in Traverse City, Michigan. This is actually more on the wine trail in Michigan. Now, Scott, you've probably tried a couple of these.
Yeah, I have. I know we've been trying to put a little thing together.
Yep. But So they're sweet. They actually have a really interesting product. What I'll just quickly mention. It's an Isla Rye.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's actually a rye whiskey, but they use the Islay malted barley to make it, so it's got a nice like smokiness. I mean, again, this one is one that tastes very young. It just does. It tastes very young, and most of their stuff does, but they're another one with potential. I feel like once they get some of their own aging, and they're definitely grain to glass. Again, everything they do is local to Michigan, which is really nice.
Yeah.
So keeping it local, and I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that as a consumer myself. One other product they have is a double barrel rye. Scott, you've probably tried this one too.
Yeah, I don't know if I have that one or not. But
Okay, this is 100% straight rye, but then it's double barreled pretty much. So they just put it in another, unused charred oak barrel, and it makes it much better, honestly.
Yeah.
The original 100% straight rye just tastes very grainy. This one mellows out those rough edges, gives it a little more creaminess. But they are one to keep an eye on, and as they keep expanding, I think they're going to put out some good stuff.
How big are they?
They're not that big. They're
Okay.
pretty small. I mean, I can find their bottles locally, but it's pretty tough. Like, it's pretty much only around the northern part of Michigan right now, as far as I know.
So before we sign off, guys, and we head over to Matt's stream, one last distillery here I want to call out is Middle West Spirits here in Columbus. Again, another shout out to a distillery doing grain to glass. Founded in 2008, started producing in 2010. They make vodka, gin, they make a wheat whiskey, they make a bourbon, they make a wheated bourbon, a sherry finished bourbon. But I think personally, their bourbons and wheat whiskeys aren't there yet. The wheat whiskey is pretty good. Their bourbons, I think, I need more time. But this one right here, this is the only one of these that's made in the country, and it's a dark pumpernickel rye.
Oh, you've talked about that, yeah.
Pumpernickel.
Yeah, pumpernickel rye. And
Interesting. That's very interesting.
it's really interesting. It's got one of the most. It's this very peppery, almost chocolatey type aspect to it. This was a special release. This happens to be their cast strength one. It was.
It looks dark. It looks dark.
Very dark.
Look how dark that is.
It's like black.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing again about Ohio is we get those drastic temperature changes here too, just like Kentucky would. But again, your flavor profiles are going to come from your terroir, where you're getting your grain from. Everything here is Ohio sourced, so it does taste different than a Kentucky rye would or a Pennsylvania rye would.
Love it.
Yeah. It's kind of. I love when you can take the different parts of a craft distillery and start stripping out the DNA and what a Pennsylvania, Maryland, Texas has its own flavor profile.
Mhm.
Like I said, the Washington and Seattle and those distilleries out there, all the way out in the West, California, they have a specific flavor profile. So it's, with over, I think we're getting into the 19,000 different craft distilleries across the country now.
Yeah.
So the numbers are astounding, and it's just kind of exciting to see where this is all going to go. But as you can see, just for me in Ohio, Scott in Wisconsin, the Bourbon Buddies in Pennsylvania, Chris in Michigan, just how many there are just in our cities alone.
Yes.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think there's no shortage of great whiskeys coming out, especially one trend that I love is the use of pot still coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me too.
What would be your favorite trends in craft that you guys see? That would be the last question before we sign off.
Well, I like the idea of a lot of these companies starting to experiment with a lot of different like wood, just different barrels, the different kinds of things. I mean, I think that's going to be one area that you start to see a lot of people experimenting with, maybe traditional mash bills, but with different kinds of kind of oak bills or whatever you want to call it,
Right.
So that will be interesting because I don't think a lot of people understand like how much of an influence that barrel has on the whiskey and what was in it prior, or if it was never toasted, if it was raw, whatever it may be. There's so many different flavors. So I think wood will be a big thing this year.
Yeah. What about you, Bert buddies?
Well, I think kind of going off that with like just the finishing, and I think the exciting thing of finishing it in different barrels and like he's saying about playing with the different types of oak and just the whole everybody just kind of tweaking the process to try to find that magic recipe that sets it apart, but doesn't take it into another place. You know what I mean? Like it's still whiskey, it's still bourbon, whatever, but it just kind of levels up a little bit in finding that secret thing. And I think that's what keeps it exciting for everybody. Because there's going to be some fails, right? We've all had whiskeys that they tried something, but you can at least respect the artistry of it all.
Yeah.
Shout out to the man himself, Fred Minnick is here in the chat. Say hi, everybody.
Hey, Fred.
Fred,
thanks for coming in. I always love listening to Fred talk about some of the craft distilleries and some of the ones that are coming out with some exceptional products, and what they're doing as far as creativity. And we're already talking about what's happening with different types of finishing, different types of woods, different types of grains that they're using. And it just kind of gets me so excited to see what's coming down the pipeline. So, Chris, what about you? What are you most looking forward to?
I think what I'm most interested in seeing is who's going to pull themselves away from the rest of the field. So we're getting at that point where, crafts are starting to get 4 or 5 years old for a lot of distilleries throughout the country. And we're going to start tasting their own product. And I really want to see what's going to start standing out, like the new riffs, like the Boone counties or whatever it may be. Yeah. They're obviously on a larger scale than some. But I think this is the point we're going to see some fall by the wayside when they get their own product versus just sourcing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm curious to see that. Will Jep the Creek turn it around or not? Like, we'll see.
All right. Well, with that, what I do want to do is give away a sample to someone. And it won't be. I mean, if you want to try anything from my, this could be anything from my collection you want to try. I'm just going to open it up for anything you guys, if you want to try it. So it could be you want to try a George T. Stagg, you want to try a William Llewellyn, you want to try a Pumpernickel rye, just let me know. The first one in the chat to get this will get the sample. And then we'll call it a night. We'll do a nice cheers with everybody, and we'll head over to Matt from Whiskey Crusaders to celebrate his 1-year anniversary. So I was talking about Watershed before, and they use a specific type of grain that's different. What was the name of the grain, and what was the subspecies? So it's a 2-part question. It's the grain, and you got to tell me what subspecies of it is. So
good luck, everybody.
Yeah, how about it? Good luck.
It's quick. Get on your phone. Buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Everyone, like, we had some people that yelled out spelt, which is the correct answer, but it was a 2-parter. And the first one to get it in the chat that I saw was Greg Failer.
Yeah.
Nice.
Spelt, and it's a subspecies of wheat. So Greg, congratulations, man. And I don't think he's won before. So I want to say congrats to Greg. It's always fun to give somebody new to reach out and give a sample of something too.
Oh, yeah.
So Greg,
look at Matt, but real quick, Matt from ADHD Whiskey smelt.
Yeah, that's typical.
Typical.
I love it. Yeah, if anyone has subscribed to ADHD Whiskey, please do.
I love it.
Greg Failer, email me at themashanddrum@gmail.com, and we will talk and see what sample you want to try. And with that, real quick, guys, go around the horn. Tell us where to find you.
Yeah. So again, thanks for having me on. This was a fun conversation. Was happy to do it with you guys. So yeah, Scott from My Bourbon Journey, my whiskey YouTube channel, bourbons, ryes, American style whiskeys. Generally speaking, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter once in a while. So yeah, that's about it.
Bourbon Buddies.
Oh yeah. So we're the Bourbon Buddies, and we're on YouTube. Oh, thank you. What are you pointing to? Though? You're pointing. So yeah, we're on YouTube. Right now, we're not on any other social media. We might have to get on that.
We're gonna have to get our act together.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get our act together. So yeah, so come find us on there. Just type in the Bourbon Buddies. It'll pop up, and we're just doing reviews, hanging out, you know,
Having
being-
fun.
You guys do fun content. So
Yeah.
everyone give them a subscribe and go check them out. Bourbinsane, last one up.
Yep, Chris Bourbinsane, Bourbinsane YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, everything. But honestly, if you guys have not checked out the Bourbon Buddies, they are really doing great stuff. So please do go sub right now.
Thanks,
Bless.
Chris.
Honestly, like that's no bullshit. Honestly.
All right, guys. So everyone hold up their glass. Before we sign off, again, everyone jump over to Whiskey Crusaders, celebrate the 1 year. I'll be heading on to that channel too to hang out with them. So will Chris. Hold up your glass. Here's to Whiskey Tubin.
Cheers, guys.
Here's to great drams, great family, great community, and enjoy your week. Cheers from the Mash and Drum, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Take care, guys.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.